Hello everyone, this is part 2 of our synonyms and antonyms practice. For now we have 100 questions. This is going to be a long video, so take in your notes and grab a cup of tea. Okay, modest most nearly means, so this whole questions for now we're going to do with synonyms. Okay, this all are synonyms. Modest, what does modest mean? Modest, we mostly use it when a girl wears a hijab, right? But modest doesn't only mean someone who's decent, it also means someone who is humble. Okay, so another word for modest also means humble. Okay, because when someone wears clothing all over them, don't you feel like that person is down to earth or humble? So just keep in mind, when you see someone who is modest, think of that person being humble. Okay, next word we have custom. Custom means, another word for custom actually also means a habit. For example, you like reading a book, or if you like gardening, or if you like hiking, this all means habit, right? We use the word habit with it. But custom mostly we use this word mostly when we have a formal sentence. For example, we say custom practices. Prolong. Prolong means it has to do something with time. Okay, look, the word long, something that is extended, right? A long time. So another word for prolong is extend. It's quite easy. Let's use it in a sentence. For example, we say, we were having such a good time that we decided to prolong our stay by another week. Prolong. See, we use in a sentence. It means in here that we are trying to, it was such a good time that this extended their time. So prolong has to do anything related with time. Okay, prolong a time, prolong a week, a year. Hustle means someone who is fast, doing stuff fast. Like maybe you're hustling for your homework, or you can see this girl is hustling her way home. Okay, so hustle means you hurriedly way home. Like it doesn't mean that you're um, walking fastly, but it actually means that you're intensifying the fast pace. Okay, so that is the meaning of hustle. Hustle means hurry. When you hurry, when you're in a hurry. Hurry is like in a less intense way, and then when you say hustle, hustle is more you intensify the fastness of it. Like for example, when we say he's hustling for some income, so it means he's struggling to have more income. He's doing it in a very fast way. Solemn. Solemn means someone who is sad, like this guy over here. We can use it in a sentence like he spoke in a solemn and thoughtful manner. He wore a very solemn expression on his face. He recited the poem in a solemn voice. So you can see how it's related, right? It means that someone who is sad. So what do we have in here? It can't be someone amusing. Amusing means someone who is happy. Harmful is not related with it. There's speech. Speech is not, it's not blending in with the options in here. And we have serious. Okay, so what is it? Serious. Solemn, because when you're sad, you have to be in a serious face, right? You don't be in happy and all. And then, you get my point. Okay, imply. Imply most nearly means someone, for example, I'll use it in a sentence. Their failure to reply to our letter seems to imply a lack of interest. So what does imply means? If you see it in the sentence, right, it shows that a person wasn't interested in the letter. So imply means it shows that he doesn't have an interest. So another word for imply also means suggest. Okay, we mostly use the word imply in formal settings, like this guy is telling her that I feel like they're not interested in us. I feel like, the word I feel like, it can also means I suggest. It's a suggestions of how you feel, right? So imply and suggest are synonyms of each other. Ramble. Ramble, let's use it in a sentence. We went for a ramble along the beach. Okay, what does it mean, ramble? Ramble means he went for what? Is it wonder or wonder? Even though they pronounce a little bit similar, but if you see the spellings, they're quite two different meanings. Wonder means someone who likes to explore, who likes to go freely. For example, if you go in a beach, which is you have never seen before, don't you like to explore around the beach? So that one is called wonder. Okay, you wandering around. Wonder means someone who is thinking, like this boy, he's deep in his thoughts, right? So he's wondering when to go home, or wondering where can he find the baby shells. Okay, So wonder means someone thinking, wonder means someone exploring with A, okay? So ramble and wonder are the same thing. So like just like how we use in here, we can also replace ramble with wonder along the beach. It's the same thing. Beneficial. Beneficial means someone, it's an easy word, so I don't think I need to explain this. It also another word for it is advantages. It's when you apply for a company and then they see that you can give them benefits, you can give them profits, or you can make the workspace more productive. So it's also advantages. Flare. Flare is mostly used when there is a lightning, like this one. You can use in a sentence, I saw a sudden flare in the darkness. So flare, another word for flare means blaze. It has to do with something like flickering, like lights. Negligent. Negligent means someone who is careless. Like you can see this guy is being really negligent of holding the sword in his hand, or you can say my brother is negligent at his homework, so it means that he's careless, he doesn't care about his homework, he's uninterested. So another word for negligent is also careless. Aloof. Aloof, another word for aloof. The definition of aloof actually means not friendly or remote. Means he's not interested in talking to you. So when someone's not interested, what do we have? Above doesn't make any sense with it. It can't be tidy, it can't be above, it can't be clever, it has to be reserved. Okay, when someone is not friendly, it means he's reserved, he doesn't want to talk to you. If you see a girl that's with this face, do you think you'd be interested to talk to her? No, right? So okay. Resolve. Okay, so resolve. Okay, so I see a lot of people gets confused between solve. What's the difference between solve and resolve? Okay, so let's look at the definition. Solve means the process of finding a correct answer to the problem. Okay, so for example, this girl is solving, she's trying to find an answer for it. So that is called solving, like she's solving an equation. But resolve means bringing the problem to an end or conclusion. Okay, so resolve basically means, like for example, you and your friend are having a fight, right? You don't use the word that let's solve the problem, you say that let's resolve the problem, because you have an end conclusion. Okay, when you're solving an equation, it doesn't mean like your answer is always is gonna be right. It can be right or wrong, but when you resolve something, it means you're ending it. Okay, like you're just ending the fight, that's it. Okay, there is always an end or a conclusion. So for when we have resolve in here, what do you think is the right answer? It's decide. Okay, because when two-person fight, right, you and your friend are fighting, for example, this girl and that girl are fighting, right, and then they're trying to resolve an issue. So you both decided that let's have a conclusion, or let's end this fight. So you have your decision powers on it. Okay, so another word for resolve is decide. Congregate. Congregate means when there's a lot of people around. Like mostly we use this word in Islamic terms. I've seen in Islamic books you use the word congregate in Jumu'ah, right? So it also means to gather. Okay, you can see these people are gathering together. You use the word congregate. Utter. Utter means something that you can speak, right? When you utter some words. Okay, so when someone is speaking, what does it mean? It can't be it doesn't mean someone is laughing, doesn't mean someone is borrow is not, it doesn't make any sense with it. So what do we have in here? We have express. Okay, so when someone's speaking, you can see this guy is expressing himself, this girl is speaking and he's expressing through sign language, right? So another word for utter also means express. Utter mostly represents physical words speaking, and express means someone who is using hands to express themselves. Okay, fearless. Fearless means someone who is, you can see from the picture, what do you think is the right answer? Okay, fearless, does it mean powerful or brave? Which one do you think is the right answer? Because both of them are quite similar. Okay, so if you choose the answer as brave, you're right. This is the right answer. Okay, it can't be powerful, even though powerful is similar to brave, because powerful is something that you relate to a person. Like you say that this guy is powerful, this girl seems powerful. Fearless is something inner, in your inner self. Okay, when you can it's a quality that describes your inner feelings. Fearless and brave, this both are inner feelings, but powerful is mostly related to a second person. Okay, so this guy is fearless from within, it means he's brave. Okay, he can't be powerful, Powerful is referring to another person, okay? When you're talking about another person. Negligible. Negligible means, okay, let's use it in a sentence. The price difference was negligible. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that, for example, if you just have 2 rupees as your change, right? So you mostly say, no, no, it's okay. It's just a small amount. So instead of using small amount, use the word negligible, or you can use the word insignificant. Okay, these two things are the same thing. Okay, they're insignificant to you because it doesn't make much of a difference. Placid means a girl that's calm in nature. Like you can see in the picture, the girl has a placid nature. We can either use the word placid or calm, whatever is easy for you. But I would suggest using hard words so you can remember them. Rake. Okay, what does rake means? Rake is a guy who is rude. You can say a dissolute or immoral person, a person without ethics. You can see this guy is being really rude and immoral. He looks like an immoral person. So another word for it is called scoundrel. Okay, scoundrel and rake are the same meaning. Rude person. Dupe means someone who is scamming people. It can also mean when someone is scamming, like they hide money behind your bars, or they bribe you. So we have another word for it. Is also means trick. Dupe and trick are the same meaning. Stigma. Okay, stigma means, for example, a girl working in office. Like we have the stigma, females nowadays have the stigma of working in office. So it's because people, they like to shame them. They don't they're not encouraging females to work because of the people around them. The girls have a stigma of working in such places. So it also means, another word for stigma means shy or ashamed. They're not comfortable being in their place. A stigma, a force. It's like a resistance to them from working. So another word for stigma is also means stain. Okay, someone who is putting resistance into their life. The next word is reside. Reside means someone where you live, where you stay. So it has to be dwell. Okay, dwell means when you live in an area. Okay, it can't be a home. Home is more specific, because when someone asks where do you reside, so they don't ask where exactly is your home. They just ask which area are you in. Like they don't ask which street you are, area or society you are in. Okay, so we use the word dwell. Next word is covetous. Covetous means someone who is desires someone's wealth. Like when you're eating up someone's wealth, or it's something related with is negative. It's a negative character when you like when you have a desire to eat someone's wealth, or you have a desire of wanting someone else's belonging. Like for example, this guy, he doesn't have any of his share because he ate up all his share. So another word for it is also means greedy. He's greedy for money. He's greedy for wealth. Covetous. Abide. Abide means, you can see this guy is telling to the dog to listen to his rules, obey to him. So abide also means to endure, because when you endure someone, it means that you're actually obeying that person. This dog is enduring his laws, or abiding by his laws. Shrewd, let's use it in a sentence: having or showing sharp powers of judgment. So it means someone who is wise, who gives a person who is wise, intelligent. So what does it mean? Another word for shrewd also means astute. They're the same meaning, a person who is intelligent. You can't use the word intelligent in it, because when someone's intelligent, it doesn't mean that he can make sharp judgments, right? So shrewd is someone who can make sharp judgments. Okay, he has sharp powers, or you can say a sixth sense. Okay, fetter. Let's use it in a sentence. The prisoner can still feel the weight of his fetters years after his release. So what does it mean? For example, when you're constrained in your home for such a long time, and then suddenly you just go out, so don't you feel like you're in that, like you have that feeling that you're still under confinement? So that's what prisoners mostly feel, that they feel like they are still inside the jail, even being after release. So another word for it is also hamper. Okay, they feel a hamper on their shoulders. It's like a feeling of being restrained. Flagrant, let's use it in a sentence so you can understand easier. The attack on civilians is a flagrant violation of the peace agreement. Okay, so for example, there are two parties, they had an agreement. that they won't attack each other, but suddenly one party attacks another person. So what does it mean, the flagrant? It means they have violated. It's like an immoral act, or it means that you are disobeying the law of agreement. So another word for flagrant also means glaring. Okay. Mitigate. Mitigate means when you lessen the pain of something. So when you lessen the pain of something, what does it mean? You feel relief, right? Like, for example, you mitigate, you have a headache. So you use an ice sheet to mitigate the pain. So what do you at the end of the day, what do you feel? You feel relief, right? You feel relaxed. So mitigate and relief are the same thing. Rail. Rail means someone who is shouting, like you can see its father shouting at his kid for doing something bad. So rail, another word for rail means scold. Meld. Meld means something which you blend, when you blend things. Okay, like you blend in the eggs and the flour. So what do we have? Meld as blend. Another word for meld is blend. You can also use the word meld in a sentence like I melded the eggs and the flour together, right? Rally. Rally means, let's use it in a sentence, a rally attended by around 1,000 people. So a rally means someone that is attended by a lot of people, like a mass gathering. So another word for it also means muster of people. Abject describes a situation where you are sad because of an event or a circumstance. So another word for it also means despondent. This girl is quite despondent. She grew more and more despondent. We use this in a sentence that she became more and more worried, right? Let's use it in a sentence like she offered an abject apology, मतलब a sad apology. Bespoke. Bespoke means something which is handmade. Okay, so when something is handmade, it also means something that is tailored. Just use your hands. So bespoke and tailored are the same meaning. Definite means a girl who is shy. For example, you can say this girl is definite because she's hiding under the chair. So another word for it is shy. Okay, it cannot be apathetic. Apathetic means someone who is showing no interest or showing no concern at all. Someone who is apathetic is someone who is he can be seen as someone who is rude because he doesn't show any interest or empathy to anyone. Okay, it's the opposite of empathy. It's apathetic. And diffident, opposite of, I mean, the similar meaning of diffident also means shy. A proffer, let's use it in a sentence. He proffered a cup of tea. So what does it mean? It means he's offering a cup of tea. Okay, so when he's offering a cup of tea, another word we use is tender. Okay, tender doesn't mean like tender chicken. You don't use just the word tender on it. Tender also means soft chicken, but at the same time, it also means when you offer a cup of tea or you give in someone. Okay, you're giving something or offering someone. Okay, tender and proffer are the same meaning. Modern. Modern, let's use it in a sentence. This guy has a modern sense of humor. What does it mean, modern? Modern means he has sarcastic humor. He has, like, a funny type of humor. Sometimes when you go with a group of friends, there is always this one friend that's really funny, or there's some kind of humor in it. So it's also another word for it. It's called modern. Word for modern means caustic. So what does fetid means? Fetid means something which is awfully stinky. Okay, when something's smelly. When your socks are smelly, you say that that's quite a fetid smell. So what does girlish mean? It doesn't mean childish just because it sounds like it. No, it's not. It's not childish. Okay. So girlish means someone who is rude, ill-mannered, impolite, just like this guy is quite rude. So what does it mean? That means that churlish. Also another word for churlish means boorish, someone who is rude, ungracious. Okay, boorish. Girlish are the same meaning. Okay, you can just put this in your mind. A guy who's so boring can be rude. So just put in your mind that the boring guy means he's boorish and girlish. Okay, make a physical imagery in your mind so you can remember both of them. Antediluvian. Antediluvian is the period of time where period of time before prophet knew, because in biblical language, they actually believe prophet knew, right? So they say that the time of period before prophet knew. Okay, so for example, we use in a sentence gigantic bones of antediluvian animals. So what does it mean? It means that the bones of animals that were before the Noah time. So those bones could be dinosaurs, because those dinosaurs were before the beginning of time. It was in the beginning of time. So we use the word antediluvian in those time of period. So Antediluvian means old, right? So another word for it is also means antiquated. Antediluvian and antiquated are the same thing. Antique means antiquated. The short form for it is antique. You know, when you put, when you go in a museum, they're like antique stuff. Picayune. Picayune means something of little significance or value. Like also another word for it also means insignificance, like how we studied earlier, right? We use the same word, so that's why we use the same picture. So picayune means something which is of little value. So what's another word for it? Also means paltry. Okay, paltry means of little value. Smite. Okay, smite means, for example, your mom comes to hit you with a chapel, right? So she's trying to strike you. Okay, so another word for smite means strike. Okay, she's trying to strike you or smite you. Actions that are done very fast. Okay, winnow. Winnow, let's use it in a sentence. A list of 15 applicants has been winnowed down to 3. So there were 15 applicants and then there were just 3. So what does it mean? It has lessened down, right? So another word for widow down means to weed away. Mostly we also use the word weed when you're having with grass. Like people say, let's weed out the grass. So let's just take it out the grass. Another word for winnow also means weed. Let's take out the grass. Okay, now we're going for antonyms. Antonyms means the opposite. Before we were looking at the words which are similar to the meaning. Now we have to find the one which is the most opposite. First one, we have detain. Detain means something when you, for example, you put a prison in jail or you confine someone in a box. When you hold someone, you control someone. That is another word for controlling someone. Is also means detain. So when you control someone in a box, right? So what is the opposite of it? The opposite will be release. So the opposite of detain is release. When you release someone. Famous is an easy word. Famous is when you know someone. So when someone is famous, the opposite will be someone which you don't know, right? So if something or someone is obscure, they're unknown, or they are known by only a few people. So opposite of famous means obscure. Okay, it doesn't mean boring. Boring is the opposite of boring is someone who is excited or the one who is happy. Famous means someone that is well known, and obscure is someone who is unknown. Talented, someone who is related. It's something that's related with skill, someone's behavior. Colossal. Colossal is something that is huge, that is large. Like this elephant is colossal in relation with the mouse. So when something is really large, we have something which is tiny, opposite of the large. This is also means large, and this is tiny. So we use colossal as an example. For example, when you're driving a car and then someone hits your car from behind, and then suddenly your car turns over and flips over. So your car has a huge damage, right? So instead of using huge damage, we use the word colossal. I had a colossal damage. So it means that you have a lot of payments that you have to repair. So it's mostly related with something large. When large is inappropriate in a sentence, we use the word colossal. Fluid. Fluid means something which is liquids. Okay, so but we're not looking at something that is similar. This is opposite. So what is the opposite of liquid? That is something which has to be something hard, right? So it has to be solid. So the opposite of fluid is solid. It can't be liquid. Continue. Continue means is the opposite to. This is quite easy. You should know this by now. When something is continuing on a way in a path, so suddenly someone stops you. So what do we say? Pause. Okay. Labor. Labor is something that when you're working, like for example, this fireman is working all day long, putting out the fire, whatever he's doing. Maybe he's welding. I feel like he's welding. He's working, right? So when someone is working, what's the opposite of it? When someone is sitting in that chair and just chilling around, just sitting in a chair and just chilling. So what do we say? The person is resting. So the opposite of labor is resting, working and then just resting, chilling. Okay, our next word is brawny. Brawny means someone who is strong, who is muscular. It's the brawny has the same meaning as strong, so we can't use this since they're asking for the opposite. If someone is strong, we have the answer as weak. Okay, this is the opposite answer. Word is fickle. Let's use an example as this girl, her name. For example, her name is Sarah. Sarah's mood were varied and fickle, never lasting too long. So what does it mean? It means that sometimes she's really happy. Okay, her mood is elevated, and then suddenly it gets really low. So it keeps varying, just like heartbeat rate, right? So sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're in low, sometimes mad. So you see her mood variation gets up and down. So If someone's mood is going up and down, what would be the opposite? The opposite would be something which is steady mood, right? So we use the word steady as the opposite. Inept means someone without skill or aptitude for a particular task, not up to mark. For example, this guy, he's cheering him up. He was quite disappointed because he didn't had enough skills or characteristic that his skills wasn't up to mark. Sometimes when you watch cricket, you could get to know that the person was not ready in the field. So that means that the person's inept. He's inept. He's not good enough in playing the match. Okay, so when someone is inept, the opposite would be competent. Competent means someone who is skillful, the one who plays really good, the one who is competitive. Okay, so the opposite of inept is competent, and this is something really low negative, and this is something positive. Okay, you should always know the relationship. Pivotal. Pivotal means something that is very important, like this guy is writing out a list of important things he should do in the company. So when something is pivotal, important, the opposite would be something not important, right? Not important. So another word for not important is unimportant. Okay, it's opposite. Curse. Curse means someone who is sad, who is misfortunate. Mostly we use this in fairy tale stories. If you have heard, Snow White was cursed, Sleeping Beauty was cursed. Okay, so we mostly use the word as something who is unlucky, unfortunate, something bad is gonna happen. So when someone is unlucky or unfortunate, see, these are the same meaning, unfortunate and curse. We can't use the same meaning. We have to find the opposite. So the opposite of someone who is unfortunate is lucky. Just like this guy is chilling out, he's very lucky, living his way life. Candid. Candid means someone who is frank, who is honest. You can see this girl is being really candid with her. She's being honest, she's being frank. And so the opposite of someone who is very honest is dishonest. Okay, candid, dishonest. We mostly use the word candid as well as someone who is speaking the truth. Okay, a truthful person, candid person. Flaunt. So what's the opposite of flaunt? Flaunt is someone who is flaunting away their money. For example, you can see mostly politicians, they're flaunting away their money, or when someone's wedding is going on, you flaunt away money. So flaunt is something which you express something excessively. So if something is being expressed excessively, what is the opposite of it? Something which you hide it. Okay, the opposite of flaunt is hide. Heal. Heal is, for example, you put in a bandage on top of it, right? So you're trying to heal it. So what's the opposite of healing it is when you injured it. Like this guy got injured. Okay, the first step is to injured, and then after getting injured, you heal it up, right? So when someone is injured, another word for it is also known as maim. It's a weird word. I mean, it's a new word. Most majority of you haven't heard of it, but yeah, you have to remember it. Maim means also injured. This word is used very less, but since this might come in your test, so I recommend you learning whatever you can, whatever new words you can. Pacify. Pacify means someone who is peaceful, like this girl. Let's use it in a sentence. The mind is pacified and moves deeper inwards. See how calm she is, how pacified she is. Okay, when someone is calm, what will be the opposite? It would be this kid. She's really excited, cheerful, she's loud. So what do we have? Someone who is excited. Okay, it can't, if you see the other sentence, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so first thing of all, you have to remember what this word means, and then you can easily get to know the opposite of it. Okay, so I highly recommend getting to learn new words. I'm trying to make videos with you with pictures so you can, inshallah, remember them based on imagery, because I believe that teaching people through image, it makes you remember faster. Sullen. Sullen is someone who is sad, like this guy. I think I've used his pictures quite frequently. So you can always remember his names as a guy with sullen face. When someone is sad, we know someone's cheerful, like this girl. So the opposite of sullen is cheerful. Assure. Assure means making someone feel safe. Reassure means restoring someone's confidence. Okay, these are the difference, and I want you to get to know the difference between both of them. Assure, like you make this child feel really assured, make him feel safe. Reassurance is restoring someone's confidence. Like you tell to your kid that it's okay, you can do your test, it's fine. You lessen their stress out. Okay, so that's the difference between assure. Okay, you make someone feel safe, and reassurance. When you speak verbally to someone that it's fine, it's okay, I'm there for you. Okay, assure is not something that you can actually express. It's something someone feel. Okay. So assure, if you make someone feel safe, what is the opposite of it? Is alarm. When someone is feeling unsafe, they're feeling alarm, they're feeling, suddenly. It's sudden. Okay, so opposite of sure is alarm. Fallacious means something which is untrue or false or fake arguments. For example, his arguments is based on fallacious reasoning. So it means that he had an argument, but his reasons of it were untrue, were fake, they weren't true. So if someone is false, untrue, what do we have as the opposite? We have as truthful. When someone is speaking, when someone is a liar, okay, liar, someone speaks lies, so we have someone who speaks truth, right? So this is the opposite. Gumption. Gumption means someone who is initiative, resourceful, or imaginative. Like, for example, the CEO would hire almost any young man who had the gumption to ask for a job. So what does it mean? Gumption to ask for a job, who has initiative to ask for a job, or who has the power, not power, but actually it means someone who wants to have a job, who wants to apply his skills or his initiative. So when someone's not interested, another word for it is also means apathy. Apathy means someone's not interested, they don't care. Okay, so the opposite of gumption is apathy. Apathy, you have to remember, this word mostly comes in the paper. I've mostly seen this quite a lot in the past papers, so I highly recommend remembering apathy. Apathy means someone who is not interested. Ecstasy. Ecstasy means someone who is feeling overwhelming feeling of great happiness or joyful excitement. Ecstasy. Mostly you have seen this word used in drugs, okay, to describe someone feeling happiness or joyful. So if someone's feeling ecstasy, what is the opposite of it? Yes, languor. Languor means someone who is tired or inactive, is bored. Okay, so the opposite of ecstasy is languor. Okay, fatigue is not the right word. It can also be fatigue. Fatigue also means tired, but ecstasy is actually an intense feeling of happiness. Okay, so languor is also an intense feeling of being tired. Okay, so you have to make sure that you know which one. If this one is an intense word, you have to find the intense word of the opposite as well. Okay, if this wasn't here, then you could have selected fatigue as well. It's not. It can also be the right answer, but for now, languor is the right one. Okay, astute. Astute means having or showing an ability to accurately assess situations or people and turn this into one's advantage. Like, for example, mostly we have seen politicians use this type of behavior. So you could, when you help someone, right? When you help, for example, politicians, they like to help the seniors, right? The senior post. So when they have the senior post, they actually do it for their own advantage. So that, next time in the future, they might need their help for their advantage. So that's called an astute person, astute a politician, or you could say an astute business. So mostly this happens in business. It's part of business culture. So astute is when you take someone's advantage. So when you take someone's advantage, the opposite will be someone who is easily persuaded to believe something. Okay, so astute means showing the ability to assess someone, and gullible means falling for anything. For example, someone offers you something and then you're gullible enough to actually fall for his traps or fall for the offer. So astute is persuading someone, and gullible is actually being persuaded. Some means someone who is cheerful, who is engaging. Okay, so when someone is cheerful and engaging, like these two ladies, we have the opposite as someone who is sullen and gloomy. Remember the sullen guy? Yeah, he keeps appearing. Whatever sad, anything that describes sadness, I'm just gonna put him up. Okay, so just remember his name as the sullen guy who is always gloomy. Okay, another word we found with that similar to sullen is dur. So winsome, someone happy. Dur is someone sad. Okay, someone really sad. So we have the right answer is dur. Droll. Droll is something that is funny, humorous, and amusing. Okay, so when something is funny, right? So isn't the opposite something going to be sad or angry or moody? Right? Isn't that supposed to be an answer? But we have to look from the option. Which one do you think is something that relates with the opposite of drool? So it can't be forget. It doesn't make sense. It can't be charm. Charm's a characteristic. Sedate. Sedate, also another word for sedate, means calm, right? Calm, tranquil, placid. Remember, we used this word in the previous slide, placid. Absurd, absurd, can't be absurd. Absurd means something which is ridiculous, ridiculous, or you can say inappropriate. So we only have the word as sedate in here, right? So we have to use the word sedate. So mostly if you see droll, right? Droll means funny, isn't it? It's supposed to be sad, but from the options we have to see whichever is the opposite of it, like whichever do we have that matches with the opposite. So the only thing we have in here is sedate. That's why we're gonna select sedate. So mostly when you feel like you know the answer, but the answer is not here, sometimes you just have to cut out the ones which doesn't make sense to the questions, to the word in here. And then after that, you can easily get your answer. Okay, next one we have enigmatic. Enigmatic means, for example, let's give it a sentence. She took the money with an enigmatic smile. So if you could see the girl, she looks really mysterious, right? Like you feel like she's hiding something. Enigmatic means something which you're hiding, which you are mysterious, which is quite odd. You can say something odd, or another word for it, strange. It's quite strange, right? Like you can't really know what she's thinking. So when something is hidden, mysterious, we have something which is obvious, which is something which you know. Like for example, this face is really happy, so it's obvious that she's happy. But in here, it's something mysterious. You don't know what it is. So the opposite of enigmatic is obvious. Obsequious means obedient or attentive to an excessive or servile degree. For example, we use in a sentence, they were served by obsequious waiters. So what does it mean? Obsequious means they are attentive waiters. Okay, they're obedient. They're really nice waiters. They're very, you can say, it's an intense form of being really nice. Okay, obsequious, being attentive. Okay, they're always there for you. If you want water, they come to you. So those waiters are obsequious. So when someone is attentive to you, what do we have? The opposite? Domineering. Domineering is asserting one's will over another in an arrogant way. We have these people who are serving in a really nice way, and then we have the opposite of this guy, which is really rude. For example, domineering also means bullying, intimidate, or pressurize. Okay. Mike was stubborn and domineering with a very bad temper. Okay, so the opposite of obsequious is someone who is rude. So the answer is domineering. Okay, next is doleful. Doleful. Doleful means someone who is full of grief. So we have our sullen guy in here who is really sad. Another word for sullen also means dour. Okay, I've used all the words to describe his face. So remember, his name is sullen. His another name is dour. Another name for him is also doleful, which also means full of grief. Okay, when someone is full of grief, what is the opposite of it when someone is full of grief? Vivacious. Vivacious means full of life, life in spirit, like this girl. She's vivacious. So doleful means intense form of grief, intense. So when we have an intense word, we also have to find the intense form of feelingness, of feeling of happiness, of liveliness. So this is also an intense form of full of spirit and life, vivacious. Okay, vivacious is the opposite of doleful. Wanton. Wanton means someone who is cruel or violent, deliberate, and unprovoked. Another word for wanton also means vicious. Okay, these two have the same meaning, wanton and vicious. So when someone is cruel, what do we have? The opposite, someone who is merciful, someone who forgives you, someone who is okay with you, right? So the opposite of wanton means merciful. Wanton and vicious are the same thing. Brilliant, we can't use the word brilliant. Brilliant means someone who is intelligent. Okay, and this doesn't fit in with the word. Banal. Banal means lacking in originality as to be obvious and boring. For example, when this girl, when you hear songs or that have repeated words, don't you feel like you get bored out of it, right? When someone repeats songs for the same line again and again. So when something gets repetitive, it gets boring. So when something is boring, okay, when it lacks originality, the opposite of banal is extraordinary. Extraordinary means something new, something unique. Lugubrious means something mournful or sad. Again, we brought out the guy. He looks sad, mournful. It's an intense form of saying mournful. Okay, opposite would be cheerful. Very good. Okay, but what does salubrious means? Salubrious means something which is healthy. We mostly use it with vegetables. For example, Vegetables are salubrious food which provide essential nutrients. Okay, so salubrious means something which is healthy. Just because it's not given in here, it doesn't mean you don't learn the hard words in here. So I highly recommend learning this. Sometimes you might give this as well. So remember that whatever word you find different, whichever word you find difficult, just search it up. You should always learn the options given, because those words can come up in the future. So salubrious means something which is healthy. Next word is perspicacious. Perspicacious means having a ready insight into an understanding of things, or observant. Like for example, you can see this girl, she's being really observant. She's a researcher. For example, she's a researcher. So when someone's a researcher, she knows what she's doing. She had full analytics of what she studies and she knows what she's doing. So it means someone who is observant, like a scientist or a researcher. For example, we use in a sentence, she was perspicacious enough to realize that things were soon going to change. So when someone is a researcher, they know what they're doing. They've been observing something for such a long time. It means that they also know what will happen in the future, right? A prediction. So when someone is perspicacious, observant, what do we have? The opposite? Try guessing it. It can't be calm. It's not related with anything of this. It can't be easy. Winsome is someone who is attractive, who is pretty. It also describes quality, physical quality of a person. So it has to be dull. When someone is observant of something, the opposite would be dull. A person who doesn't care, who is really lousy. So the opposite of perspicacious is dull. Allen means someone who is having energy, who has style, enthusiasm. Like for example, this girl, she opened her business and she looks really energetic. She's full of confidence. So when someone's Allen, full of confidence, what do we have? Someone who is the opposite of it would be someone who is in despair. Okay, someone who is sad, who is unmotivated. So if you look at the options, we don't have something that resembles anything of the opposite. So answer is a despair. Obscure means something which is unknown. I've already explained this in the previous slide. Can't be stupidity. Inelegance is something which is opposite of elegance. Recondite means subject or a knowledge of little known or abstruse. Okay, so for example, you can see this book, it's full of recondite information. It means informations which are not fully given. It's just some information, like for example, it could be chapters, it could be summary. So the whole information is not given. So when the full information or the full knowledge is not given, we say it's a recondite. It would be manifest. Manifest means fully known. Okay, when everything is known or everything is given. Okay, manifest is the opposite of recondite. Gainsay means to deny. For example, you could see this guy, he's denying to what he just said. He's a gainsay person. He just gainsayed his words. So when something is gainsayed, so what is the opposite of it? When you deny something, you owned it, right? So effluvium means an unpleasant or harmful odor or discharge. Okay, it could be something smelly. It could be the socks that has an effluvium smell. Okay, so when something is smelly, what is the opposite of it? And there is a fragrance. Okay, effluvium is something smelly. Something with the opposite of smelly is something with fragrance. It's quite easy if you know the word effluvium. Parsimony. Parsimony means someone who has a thrift nature or stinginess, or it could also be something greedy, like this guy, he's not sharing his chocolate with his friends, so he has a parsimony nature. Someone who is greedy. What is the opposite of it? We have someone who is generous, right? Generous. Opposite of parsimony is generous. Next we have truculent. Truculent is a characteristic that has a cruel or savage nature. For example, this guy has a cruel, from his nature you could see he has a truculent character. Most people ask me, how do you remember so many words in your mind? What you can do is that truculent sounds like truck, right? So imagine a guy sitting in a truck. Okay, a guy sitting on a truck. Okay, he's driving a truck and he is really rude to the people in the road. He's abusing people on the road. He's being really cruel. When you read this, you can remember the image that you made in your mind of a guy sitting in a truck. He's being really rude. Then you'll get to know that truculent means a cruel or savage. So pronunciation of the sound, you can make an image in your mind. Once you make an image of your mind, you can get to know. You can relate the image with the meaning, and you can get to know what are the meaning of it. Okay, so truculent is someone who is cruel. So we have the opposite of someone cruel is gentle, right? So truculent, someone cruel. Opposite of it would be someone who is gentle, who is kind. Next, we have spurious. Spurious is someone who is faking their life or their qualities. For example, you could see this guy, he's being really good, he's being really bad back, but in front he shows his nice face. It means he has or a two-face or fake lives he's living. So when someone is fake or they don't have genuine qualities, what is the opposite of it? Someone who has genuine qualities. Genuine qualities means someone who is true, who is honest, who is being true to himself. Okay, so spurious is someone who is false, fake life. Opposite is genuine. Welter. Welter means a state of general disorder. Okay, like for example, this girl, she's in confusion, she doesn't know what's happening, she's a mess, or you can make a sentence of it as there is a welter of information on the subject. Welter, what does welter meaning here? And there's a lot of information, or there's a clutter of information on the subject. So it's a state of general disorder. It doesn't mean that there's a lot of information, but it actually means a jumble of information, like mix up information in the internet. So it's a state of general disorder. You don't know what you're doing, or when your room is in a mess. So we use the word welter in it. Okay. So when something is in a mess, what is the opposite of it? It would be in an order, right? So it's quite easy. Welter is disorganized. Order is the opposite. Okay, it can't be freeze, it can't be Patreon, it can't be sustain, it doesn't have to do anything with it. Okay, éclat means someone who has confidence, self-assurance. This word is used very less in the English vocabulary, but it might come in the paper, so I highly recommend learning it. Éclat is someone who's confidence, like this girl. You can keep her name as Éclat person, so you could remember her with the word her as a name, but her name is actually her quality, which is confidence, self-assurance. So when someone has confidence, what is the opposite of it? Someone who is dull, right? Someone is confident, and then there's someone who is dull. It can't be disinterest, because the opposite of disinterest is someone who's interested, but this has nothing to do with interest. This is just something with confidence. Either you're really happy about yourself, or it could be the opposite, which is the dullness, negative. Apathy means someone who does not show interest. Another word for apathy is also disinterest. Okay, so these two are the same thing, so we only have dullness as something which is negative. Okay, next we have the synonyms. Before we were doing opposites. Stick with me more, we still have 10 or 20 left. Deplete. Deplete means to reduce or deprive. For example, we use in a sentence, we completely depleted our life savings when we bought our new house. So what does it mean to reduce or deprive of your savings? It means that you have used all your savings to buy a house. So all your savings are gone into buying the house. Reduce. You have reduced your money just to buy the house. So when something is depleted, another word for it also means exhaust. You have exhausted all your money into house. Mostly we use the exhaust when you're running away, and then you feel exhausted because you were running, you're exhausted of energy or exhausted of air. So it's the same meaning, deplete and exhaust. We have voluntary. Voluntary means signing up for any course or doing any charity work. So it's something that is related with your own inner self. It has to do with your own will. No one's forcing you to do it. So voluntary means something which you're willing to do. Okay, it can't be charity. Charity is an organization. It's not something, it's not related with someone's quality. Volunteer is someone's quality, someone's characteristic. You're volunteering to work. So it's your own will. So it's something has to do with your own willing. Okay. Refute. Refute means to prove something wrong. For example, this girl is saying, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, seems like a guy, I guess. Yeah. So this guy is saying there are four. Yeah, this has to definitely be a girl because girls are always right. Anyway, so from this guy's perspective, there looks like there are four lane, and the girl says no, there are actually three. So it seems like an illusion. So they're refuting to prove who is wrong. This one is saying four, this one is saying three. So when you refute something to prove something wrong, it means you're also denying something. So this guy is saying four, this girl is saying three, she's denying what he's saying. So the opposite of refute is deny. Cheat. Okay, cheat means it's easy when you cheat on an exam. So another word for it also called defraud. It's defraud and fraud are the same thing. Defraud means it's the act of performing an act of cheating or a fraud or a scam. It's the act, it's the performing action of it. Next we have miserable. Miserable means someone who is unhappy. Okay, someone who is sad, who are not happy with their situation. For example, you can say that I have no light, I feel miserable about my situation, or you didn't pass the exam, so you say I'm miserable, I feel miserable, I didn't pass the exam. So, and basically you're saying that you're unhappy with what happened. Okay. Next we have vintage. Vintage, you have seen it in camera, when you add effects, right? There's this vintage filter effects, so it gives out that old look. So you can see this photograph has been taken in a very vintage style. Everything's not clear, it's quite blur. So you can say it's something old but of high quality. Doesn't it look nice? It gives an aesthetic look, right? For example, this car as well, if you see it nowadays, you can feel like it's used in the old times, but it still holds a whole good amount of high quality, good value in the market. So when something is in vintage, another word for it also means classy. So doesn't this car look classy if you try driving it now, right? So vintage and classy are the same thing. Next we have tart. Tart has two meanings. Okay, one is tart means it could be something sour or sharp tasting, or it could be something which is acidic. For example, we have in here alkaline foods are like cucumber, watermelon. They feel alkaline. They're mostly like base food, and then they're acid food like cheese, fish, or an apple. So they have this acidic taste like a vinegar. So we say the word a tart of apple. So it means something which is acidic. Now another word for tart is we use it in pastries. Like mostly I've seen in bakeries, they have this lemon tart they're selling up front. So tart also, it could be something sweet like a lemon tart. Okay, so tart has two meanings. So when something is acidic, or it could be something that's sweet. So which one do you think could be the answer from here? It should be acid, right? So the opposite of tart is acid. Next is corner. This can be confusing to some, but I'll try explaining it. For example, when you drive your car into a corner, okay, when you drive a car to a corner, mostly we use it in a slang way to say that you got trapped, or you got trapped in a corner when police are, after you. So when you drive into a corner, don't you feel like you got trapped, right? So trap and corner are the same thing. So we use the word trap in it because when you go in a corner, you get trapped in it, right? So corner and trap are the same thing. It's American terms mostly use this. So instead of corner, they use the word trap. Zest means someone who has great enthusiasm or energy. Okay, it's promoting someone who is motivated, just like the girl. She has a lot of energy and enthusiasm. So when someone has full of energy, what's another word for it is gusto. Okay, it's a very frequent word. It's not used commonly, so you have to remember zest and gusto are the same meaning. Haggle. Haggle means to negotiate over terms of price. So you could see the girl saying, I want this for $1. She's like, no, take it for $2. So they're negotiating. Another word for it also means bargain. So you're bargaining for a deal. Okay. Appeal. Appeal means to drive forward using strong moral pressure. For example, you see this girl, she's forcing him to sign up. So it's something to do with telling someone, but with force. Just like this girl, she's putting up this gun on his head. Do it, sign it up. Okay, so appeal means something that you force someone. Throng. Throng is a large number of assembled people. You could see there's like a throng of people in here, right? So another word for it is, you can see from here, it can't be garment, it can't be bell, it can't be weight. So the answer is mass. They're mass people. Imperial. Imperial means relating to an emperor or the imperial family. Okay, like for example, we use the word imperial. It's mostly used in old times. Right now, we use president, prime ministers, and yeah. So but in the old times they use like kings, imperial family. Okay, so those are the, it's relating with anyone who is having power, the emperor. Mostly we have power in a society or a country, right? So that time use the word emperor. So another word for imperial is what is it? Regal. So regal also means the same meaning. It's relating with the old times, like the one who holds power or royal power. And diffuse means, for example, you have a lot. You put sugar in a cup of in a glass, and then the sugar dissolve it. Okay, the sugar dissolve. You can see the sugar dissolving when you stir it. So diffuse means to break up or spread out. So what do we have in here? What is the options? What do you think is the answer? The answer obviously will be scatter. So we have sugar in here, and then we have the sugar scattering, or breaking up, spreading. Okay, another word for spreading is scatter. Hinder means to hold back or to stop you. For example, when you go uh, in an airport security, you have this police officer checking up your bag. So when he stops to hold you back to see your bag, right? So another word to see is to check, right? So if someone is holding you back, stopping you from going forward, it means he's trying to check on you, right? So hinder means check. Latent. Latent means someone who is capable of becoming but not currently visible. Okay, it means inactive, untapped. So for example, you have a skill of playing football, right? So but you're not into the market, or you're not famous yet. So you can say that you have a high skill of football, but it's not being exposed to the market, so it's untapped. It is inactive in the market. You can say they have a huge reserve of latent talent. So it's a talent which is being reserved, which you're not showing off, which is not yet discovered within you. So when something is latent, another word for it also means dormant. Dormant is something which is reserved, which is not being exposed yet. Like you have the talent, but it's not being openly exposed. Okay? Wretch. Wretch means extremely distress. Okay, extremely distress. You can see this guy is being really wretch. I don't know what he's thinking, but it looks like he's in loss, or he's being, mad at something. Not mad, but he's being in a very stressful situation. Okay, so wretch is something distressed. So what do we have? The option. What do you think is the answer? Would be miserable. So he's being really miserable. He's being sad and wretch. Irksome. Irksome means someone who is irritating or annoying. So we have Sarah in here. Remember how we studied about her mood swings? Right now she's being irritating and annoying. Look of her face, she looks really annoyed. So when someone is annoyed, what do we have? The options: someone who is annoying, irksome, just like spiking up someone's anger. So remember, irksome, the opposite, I mean not the opposite, the synonym of it is annoying. Okay, regulate. Regulate means to bring under the control of law. So, for example, the president releases a law, okay, or instructions or policies. So, who is in charge of regulating those laws? Means looking after those laws if they're being observed properly. So, who are they? So, those are the police. Okay, so those regulators are the police who make sure that the laws are being observed, they're being followed. Okay, it could be a police, it could be an army. Okay. Warrant. Warrant means an official authorizing the police or another body to make an arrest, search premises, or carrying out some other actions relating to the administration of justice. For example, you committed a crime and then suddenly someone knocks on your door, and then a police officer tells you that there's been a warrant released on you to check your house. So what does this warrant means? This warrant means that the government issued a statement and allowed the police to check on your house, because normally it's not allowed for police to check over your house unless they have a warrant from the government body or any FBI agency. Then they're allowed to search for your house. So when a warrant is released, what's another word for warrant? Okay, it can't be borrow, it can't be hide. It's not like you're hiding something. Integrity, it can't be integrity, so it has to be justify. So justify and warrant are the same meaning. So they come here, the police come here just to justify if you're being just. Okay, so what is protract? Protract means prolong or to extend. Remember how I taught you this in the first slide, I guess? So protract means to prolong or to extend a period of time. Okay, it has to do with anything with time. What do you think it's gonna be if you prolong something or when you extend a deadline? What does it mean when you extend a deadline? It means you delay a deadline, right? So protract and delay are the same meaning, because when you extend something, it means that you have actually crossed the deadline, so you have delayed the whole project or the whole task. So protract and delay are the same meaning. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you really like it. If you have any questions, just leave in the comments. I'll be releasing more videos on analogies and other English verbs and sentences where you can practice for your tests. It's good for NTS, Hat, GRE. These are all good synonyms and antonyms that are used commonly in the paper, in the past papers. So I would highly tell you to subscribe to me so you could have updates of my new videos.